Shalom, and welcome again to Seekers of Meaning, the podcast and TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Adres. Thank you very, very much for joining us in what I know will be a very, very powerful and interesting, on several levels, conversation with an old friend whom we welcome back, coming to us from Yerushalayim, Alden Solovy, and we're going to be talking about his new book, Enter These Gates, Meditations for the Days of Awe, published by the CCAR Press, available now through the usual outlets that you get your books from. Alden, Baruch haba, thank you for joining us. First of all, we're recording this for disclosure purposes, middle of August. We're posting this on September the 20th. Hopefully, by the time we get to post this, there will be good news. How are you? How are you doing? What is, how are you, given everything, and you're living in Israel, and just tell me, I hope you're well.
Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me back again. It's good to see you. So it's been difficult. I stuttered as a child, and that has been gone for 40, 50 years. It may show up on this podcast after October 7th. That intermittent stutter came back.
Yeah. Well, that's a segue into really the dedication of this book. And I urge my colleagues, for those of you who get the book, and you really all hopefully do, but please pay attention to the introductions by Rabbi Nama Kelman and Alden, because it really sets the stage. There's this wonderful dedication right at the beginning of the book, which I think sets the tone. The dedication of the book goes to, for the dead, the wounded, the hostages who live, and the hostages who did not survive, for all who were lost and all that was lost on October 7th, 2023, for Israel, for the Jewish people, may wholeness and healing come, and everlasting peace. That's the dedication, which is a beautiful dedication. Rabbi Kelman writes about this juxtaposition, a beautiful image of Shabbat HaShechorah, the Shabbat of the attack, and the use of the same root Shin Chet Resh for Shacharit, juxtaposing darkness and light and dawn. The genesis of this book, was it totally from October the 7th, or did you begin this process a little bit earlier and then that Shabbat just changed everything?
So I'd say about 80 some odd % of the book was written before October 7th. And then the shock, assault, and hostage taking and terrorism and subsequent war took place. I actually messaged CCAR Press and said, I will not be completing this book. I apologize. I do not have the energy or the will. And I actually lost complete faith in this manuscript, Richard. I read it and I thought, nah, I got nothing. And they were brilliant. They said, well, let us be the judge of that. And I sent them the manuscript, and they really brought me back to seeing the power and the beauty in my own words.
And as for those of you who have the Alden's collection, it's right here on my shelf. You know how powerful your words are. I know many, many colleagues, myself included, use some of your work, your poetry, your readings, your meditations, in a variety of life cycle events. One of the meditations, poems, however you want to call it, that speaks specifically to what you're talking about, Ela Azkara, after October 7th. Can you walk us through that reading, because it really just grabs your soul in what you're talking. Could you walk us through that, please?
So the Ela Azkara is a traditional rubric of the Yom Kippur liturgy. It's in the afternoon liturgy, and it tells the story of 10 who were martyred by the Romans, Rabbi Akiva and others. And it also has been that piece of liturgy that has called to us throughout the generations of the tragedies, really, and the Jews who died Kiddush Hashem, in the name of serving God and serving the Jewish mission life. And it struck me that I could never look at this piece of liturgy again the same way after October 7th. But I couldn't just leave it to solely be about what happened after October 7th here in Israel. So I felt the need to weave other aspects in. And then the final stanza is really from a teaching by one of my teachers at the Pardes Institute of Jewish Studies, Dr. David Bernstein, who I went to Poland with on tour to see, communities before and after the Holocaust. And what he talked about was the continuity of the people, but we really won't ever know what we lost. We can never regain it because of the children and the children's children and their children that would never be. And so that's reflected in this piece as well.
Do you have the piece in front of you?
I do indeed.
Do you mind just reading it? Would you be able to? Is that okay?
Thank you for asking. So, Ela Eskera after October 7th. Ela Eskera, these I remember, the young and the old, the children, the mothers, the babies, the fathers, and I do not look away. The brutalized, the maimed, the assaulted, the raped, burnt alive, terrorized and tortured, killed and kidnapped, and I do not look away. Al Eila ani vochea, for these I weep in every age, in our homes and our villages, in the fields and on the streets, in our cities and our towns. Death and terror stalk. Eini yordamain, my eyes flow like streams of water. For Re'im and Be'eri, for Pittsburgh and Toulouse, for Kvaraz and Netiba Asara, Nachal Oz, for Mumbai and Colleyville, for Ofakim near Oz, Mirim and Sderot, for Paris and Poway, for Alumim, Zikim, Siduk and Kisufim, for Halle and Overland Park, for Nir Yitzchak, Holit and Sufa, for every community in every generation. Ela Askara, these I remember. But how can I remember what was stolen? The loves lost, the dreams lost. Scientists, poets, artists, visionaries, leaders, learners, teachers of Torah, the generations lost. The children of children and their children and theirs never to be. Ela Eskara v'nafshi alai eshbecha. These I remember. I pour out my soul from within me, and I call out, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Kanun, God, God, compassionate and gracious, remember us.
It's such a powerful reading, Alden. And that section of the Yom Kippur afternoon, the martyrology, which in some prayer books just goes on and on. I can imagine colleagues taking a look at this poem, scrapping the prayer book, putting this in it, and just reading that, turning around to a congregation and say, what are you feeling as a result of that? I mean, it's such an unbelievable opportunity for people to read that, to study it, and to let it soak them, to just speak to them in their own way. It touches on something that comes up in a lot of the classes that we do at Jewish Sacred Aging, and I want to come back to, and that's the issue of us as a people of history. So you this summer were in Poland, right? You just alluded to that. Talk to me about, because in one of the poems that I want to look at next, a poem called History. For some reason, I think, and it just may be me, that this Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I would imagine that colleagues will be talking a little bit about the concept of us being a people of history. And we can't escape it. And, in the United States, there's a lot of, in the last year, where were the friends that we marched with 50 years ago? They disappeared after October 7th. So we're people of history. So what, in Poland, you alluded to it. What did you do? You were researching what?
So the trip I referred to was one I went on several years ago. This summer, I went to Białystok to work on a Jewish cemetery restoration project. We were essentially finding lost, meaning buried, broken matzevot, and bringing them up and writing them and placing them in their proper places, cleaning them, reading them, reclaiming, as you say, history, bringing their stories back to literally to the light of community, of our being able to take that information and put it out on Jewish genealogy sites and connect people with their family histories, with their past.
So when we were talking in prep for this, and we emailed back and forth, and you mentioned you had been in Poland, and then I got the book, and lo and behold, this lovely little poem called History. This magnificent poem or meditation on history. It just reminds us that we're a people of history. You're right. History is sacred. Memory is holy. Time is a blessing. Truth is a lantern. All of these are high holiday sermons. Source of sacred moments, creator of time and space, etc. And then you give thanks for the gift of vision, for the gift of memory. And your last paragraph is great paragraph. Eternal God, thank you for the gift of history. It's a great line. The gift of ancient moments and modern tales. Grant us the wisdom and understanding to see history in the light of truth, very relevant for our election. Trust the enduring power of memory to guide us from generation to generation. History and memory. Alden, when you write, and how do you understand the power of memory? Because you do write about it a lot. It comes up a lot.
Yeah, I think memory has that power of bridging generations. It has the power of bridging our ancient stories to our modern moment. And it also has the power to add hope that history continues, that we can move forward, that there is a destination, even if we don't know exactly what it is. The combination of history and memory is profound, and it's I think it's in the bones of us as a people, and it's certainly in the bones and scaffolding of our traditional prayers.
No, that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I think it is memory. It's in our veins in Judaism. It's part of who we are. We're speaking with Alden Solovy in his new book, Enter These Gates, Meditations on the Days of Awe, available at your local booksellers, your usual places, The Great God, Amazon, and published by the CCAR Press, available now. We're going to be right back with Alden. I want to come to this wonderful, at the beginning of the book, meditation on the eve of the new year. And we'll be right back after this message.
For 20 years, the Lubetkin Media Companies have been producing award-winning audio and video programs. We produce audio podcasts, documentaries, seminar panels, conference speaker videos, tribute videos, and family legacy videos. And of course, the Seekers of Meaning TV show and podcast for Rabbi Richard Address and JewishSacredAging.com. I'm Steve Lubetkin, and I'd love to invite you to explore the ways that we can tell your story in sound and images. Please visit our website at beingthemedia.com, where you'll see examples of our work for other clients. And if you'd like more information, please email steve@beingthemedia.com. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you out there on the net. Take good care.
We're back with Alden and his book, Enter These Gates, Meditations on the Days of Awe. At the beginning of the book, you write this lovely meditation on the eve of the new year, which I imagine, talk to me about this prayer, this meditation. By the way, do you look at these writings as prayers, as meditations, as poem, or all of the above?
I've started calling them prayer poems. There are pieces that are written very classically that are obviously prayers. I think there's a couple in this book as well. And my early writings, they would end, most of them would end with some kind of khatimah, some kind of seal, blessed are you, Adonai our God. There's a broader range, if you will, of entries, especially in this book. Some I would call psalms, some I would call prayers, some I would call thought material, iyunim, some I would call meditations, and the book itself is designed to have a breadth of pieces to take both individuals on their own journey of cheshbon nefesh, their own journey of exploring themselves, of accounting for their own lives and souls, as well as giving clergy the opportunity to bring new liturgical pieces into the service or to use them as sermons.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sermons in this book. So talk to me about meditations on the eve of a new year. Do you have it? Could you favor us with the reading of it? And then talk to me.
Meditation on the eve of a new year. God, we stand at the cusp of a new year, looking forward, looking backward. So much accomplished, so much neglected, gains and losses, joys and sorrows, victories and defeats. The life, my life. You, God of old, you are steadfast witness, source and shelter. I bend my heart to you, recalling all of your gifts. God, for consolation in my grief, for sunlight in midnight, for hope in my celebrations, for warmth and for shelter, for current and tide, for family and for friends, for the flow of beauty and grace, I bend my life back to you. As the new year descends in love and in service, my offering to your holy name.
So, thank you. I love that idea about the offering because it fits into the a sense of forgiveness, but bringing ourselves. Do you think, Alden, given everything that's going on in your studies, your writings, is this New Year and Yom Kippur, do you sense a significant difference? Is our, not globe, but our humanity more on trial?
That's a big and important question. I think, for me personally, I think yes. How I choose to move in the world is on trial. I'm volunteering in the Gaza area communities and the communities that were attacked around the Gaza border. I'm volunteering here in Israel. So how I move forward, I think also as a nation of Israel, as a democratic Jewish state, we're being challenged. Who are we going to be going forward? As a Jewish people in the world, who are we going to be to one another? And who are we going to be in the world? And this mission of being a nation of priests, it's being challenged, and I think there are serious questions about whether we're actually rising to that challenge or not.
Which brings me to the next reading prayer poem called "At the Gates," because that image with the gates, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, the gates are opening, the gates, the refrain in Yom Kippur, the gates are beginning to close. Se'u Sharim, which is chanted in some synagogues. This idea of the gate, a very powerful traditional image, this very, very lovely meditation reading prayer. So could you walk us through this at the gates?
Yeah, so I appreciate the question. This piece is in a section of the book that I believe is called "At the Gates," and there are multiple references to the gates closing. Our plea at the end of Yom Kippur that the gates of heaven don't shut without our prayers being heard. I particularly tied it to the Unatana Tokef, the really central, powerful prayer, who by fire, who by water. We have this prayer that gives us the image of the angels in fear over the judgment and us realizing our mortality. And it ends Tshuva, Tefillah, Tzedakah, Me'avirin et Roa HaGezerah. But prayer, repentance, and righteousness will, Me'avirin is an interesting word, but will annul is a good one. Will soften is another translation I've heard. The severe decree. So I wanted to be at the gates, but I wanted to draw in this central piece as well, and that's sort of the rhythm of threes that shows up in this piece.
So can you read it for us? You have it? Go ahead.
At the gates. At the gates of repentance, you will be asked, are you ready to enter? Are you ready to live a life of teshuvah? The gates of repentance surround my heart. Unlock my fear, God of old, so I may enter the well of love with wonder and awe. At the gates of righteousness, you will be asked, are you ready to enter? Are you ready to live a life of tzedakah? The gates of righteousness surround my deeds. Unlock my fortitude, source, and shelter, so I may enter the well of healing with righteousness and strength. At the gates of devotion, you will be asked, are you ready to enter? Are you ready to live a life of tefillah? The gates of devotion surround my spirit. Unlock my faith, Rock of Israel, so I may enter the well of mystery with prayer and rejoicing.
Amen. Before I want to conclude this with one additional poem about walking towards sunset, because I think it speaks to the demographic that Jewish sacred aging really talks to. But your website, could you just remind everybody to the website, and in case there's somebody who would like to bring you to, because you're back and forth to the States a lot, to your congregation, like we did to my former congregation. What's the website? How does one connect with you if they want to talk to you about bringing you to a community?
Yeah. My website is tobendlight.com, TOBENDLIGHT.com. Just if you're interested in bringing me in, you can connect with CCAR Press. They're great at hooking me up with folks, or you can email me directly at asolovy54@gmail.com.
This poem, prayer, meditation, walking towards sunset, when I read it, I said, wow, this really, this obviously, I would put this perhaps Yom Kippur afternoon, maybe around the Isker service, but really beyond that, in the work that we do at Jewish Sacred Aging, this speaks to us. Because as we get older and the reality of our own mortality sets in, and we understand that we are all, from the moment of our birth, walking towards sunset. So the title alone is magnificent. So thank you. Do you have that in front of you, that poem? Could you favor us with reading it and just give us a little bit of background as to this poem?
Yeah, so I'm 67. My father passed away at 63, his brother at 80. And I've been writing more about this journey toward the end. And what I'm going to get done, what I'm not going to get done, and legacy. What will my legacy ultimately be? And I don't want to do that in a place of fear. I want to do that in a place of joy and celebration for what I've gotten and what I can give and who've been together. So this is called Walking Toward Sunset. The sunrise is behind me now as I walk toward sunset, curious to see what is beyond the horizon. Ancient One, our lives move from birth to death, from this world to the world to come. Let this journey be for holiness and love, for joy and laughter, for hope and strength, for service to your holy name. I am not ready, Holy One, to lean over the edge of earth and sky to see what you will do with me next. And I know that the moment will be of your choosing. The sunrise is behind me now as I walk toward sunset. I know that God gives and God takes away. Blessed is God's holy name.
Yeah, it's such a simplistically beautiful poem. Especially that paragraph, which is, hey, I am not ready. But I also know, as we get older, the one thing that we cannot control is time. And that when you say it, the moment will be of your choosing. And in our work, that reality of mortality, which is really Genesis 3, becomes more just not only powerful, but very, very real as relationships change, our bodies change. We're more conscious of it. So thank you for that. Thank you for that poem. It really is magnificent. Before we conclude, number one, are you working on another book, or do you take in some time out?
I'm starting to scribble a bit. My energy is low for the writing right now. This is 2 books in 2 years now. So
right,
maybe the world has had enough of my stuff for a while, but I'm sure things will bubble up, but nothing specific. No.
Well, keep us in mind, and we wish you just safety, peace, joy, and most of all, health. There's at the beginning of the book, you write this little, I guess I'm going to call it a meditation or a prayer called Pervasive Peace. And so I wanted to thank you very much for joining us. Wish you much success with this book, safe travels back and forth to the United States or wherever. And just thank you for this little vignette, which is a really good little way to, I think, introduce the holidays again. It's called Pervasive Peace. May it be your will, God of our fathers and mothers, that the year ahead brings a pervasive and complete peace on all the inhabitants of the earth, beyond all the dreams of humanity.
Amen.
Thank you, Alden, very, very much. We are grateful for your talent, for your soul, and for the gift that you bring to all of us. So, Toda Rabah.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Anytime. Travel safe. To all of you, thank you very, very much for joining us on today's edition of Secrets of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. Again, if you'd like to help support the work of these podcasts and our work, go to the website, jewishsacredaging.com, scroll down to a very conveniently located donate button, click on it, and just follow the prompts. It's really easy. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your suggestions. We thank our producer, Steve Lubetkin from Lubetkin Media here in beautiful Cherry Hill, New Jersey, who is our producer. Again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. Until our next visit, until the next time we greet each other on Secrets of Meaning, stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy. Most of all, especially as the holidays dawn, be kind to one another. Shalom, Toda Rabah.